Jaws 1975 isn't just a movie, it's the blockbuster that changed Hollywood forever. But behind the terrifying shark, suspenseful music, and legendary scenes lies a treasure chest of strange, fascinating, and downright weird stories that most fans have never heard. From mechanical disasters to real shark footage and unusual on-set tensions, Jaws was as chaotic behind the camera as it was thrilling on screen. So let's dive deep into weird facts about Jaws that will make you see this classic in a whole new light. The shark almost never worked. The mechanical shark used in Jaws, nicknamed Bruce, after Steven Spielberg's lawyer, was a constant problem on set. Weirdly enough, the shark rarely worked the way it was supposed to. Malfunctions were so common that Spielberg had to rethink his approach, using suspenseful camera work and John Williams' chilling score to suggest the shark instead of showing it. Ironically, the failures made the film even scarier, since audiences feared what they couldn't see. What started as a technical disaster ended up becoming one of the smartest creative choices in movie history. The movie went way over schedule. Originally, Jaws was supposed to be filmed in 55 days. Instead, production dragged on for a grueling 159 days, nearly 3 times longer than planned. Most of the delays came from filming on the ocean, which caused endless technical issues with the mechanical shark, the boats, and unpredictable weather. The weird part is that Universal almost pulled the plug, fearing it would become a financial disaster. But Spielberg pushed through, and the result was one of the most profitable and influential films ever made. Sometimes, chaos behind the scenes can lead to greatness on screen. The iconic theme was almost rejected. The menacing 2-note theme from Jaws is now one of the most recognizable pieces of music ever written. But here's the weird part. When composer John Williams first played the theme for Spielberg, the director thought it was a joke. Spielberg laughed and assumed Williams was kidding with the simple da-dum, da-dum. Only later did Spielberg realize its brilliance. The theme became the heartbeat of the shark itself, instantly creating tension and dread. What started as a doubtful experiment turned into one of the most chilling and unforgettable scores in cinema history. Real shark footage was used. Although most of the shark scenes were mechanical, Spielberg wanted an extra dose of realism. Weirdly enough, he decided to include real shark footage filmed in Australia by expert divers Ron and Valerie Taylor. Because the sharks there were smaller than the movie's 25-foot monster, the crew placed a little person in a small shark cage to make the sharks look bigger. This clever trick gave audiences some authentic, nerve-wracking moments. It's a strange and dangerous behind-the-scenes detail that shows just how far the filmmakers went to make Jaws feel terrifyingly real. The crew almost mutinied. The shoot for Jaws was so difficult that the crew nearly mutinied against Spielberg. Endless delays, long days on the water, and constant technical failures frustrated everyone. At one point, Spielberg had to finish directing some scenes from a small boat, isolated from the crew, because tensions were running so high. The weird part is that despite all this chaos, Spielberg kept control and pushed the project forward. It's amazing to think that one of cinema's greatest classics nearly fell apart because the crew had lost patience with the never-ending disaster at sea. The famous line was improvised. "You're gonna need a bigger boat." That iconic line, delivered by Roy Scheider, wasn't even in the script. It came from a running joke among the crew. Whenever something went wrong, which was almost every day, someone would say, "We're gonna need a bigger boat." Scheider eventually slipped the line into his performance during the shark reveal, and Spielberg loved it. It stuck, becoming one of the most famous lines in movie history. It's weird to think that a joke born from frustration turned into one of cinema's most quoted moments. Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss didn't get along. On screen, Robert Shaw, Quint, and Richard Dreyfuss, Hooper, had a tense but entertaining rivalry. Off-screen, things were even stranger. The two actors genuinely disliked each other. Shaw often taunted and teased Dreyfuss, sometimes drinking heavily before shooting intense scenes. The weird part is that their real tension actually fueled their performances. making their on-screen clashes feel even more authentic. What could have been a casting problem ended up being a blessing in disguise, adding a layer of realism to their fiery interactions aboard the Orca. Quint's USS Indianapolis monologue was rewritten last minute. Quint's chilling speech about the sinking of the USS Indianapolis is one of the most haunting moments in the film. But weirdly enough, it wasn't even in the original script. The monologue went through multiple rewrites, with contributions from playwright Howard Sackler, screenwriter John Milius, and even Robert Shaw himself. Shaw rewrote parts of the speech and delivered it with such raw intensity that it became legendary. It's strange to think one of the film's most unforgettable scenes was a last-minute addition, shaped by collaboration, and Shaw's remarkable performance. The shark didn't appear for the first hour. One of the weirdest creative choices in Jaws is that the shark doesn't appear fully until more than an hour into the movie. This wasn't planned, it happened because the mechanical shark kept breaking down. Forced to improvise, Spielberg used clever camera angles, floating barrels, and John Williams' score to suggest the shark's presence instead. Ironically, this made the movie even scarier, proving that what you don't see can be far more terrifying than what you do. A production problem turned into one of the film's greatest strengths. Spielberg thought his career was over. After the chaotic shoot, Spielberg was convinced Jaws would ruin his career. The endless delays, malfunctioning shark, and angry crew left him doubting the film's success. In fact, Spielberg skipped the premiere because he feared it would flop. The weird twist? Jaws became the first ever summer blockbuster, breaking box office records and cementing Spielberg's reputation as a master filmmaker. What began as a nightmare production turned into a groundbreaking triumph that changed the film industry forever. Spielberg's career-ending disaster became his career-defining masterpiece,